So good afternoon. Today for this geography presentation, we will be focusing on the illegal immigration of Cubans to the United States. So in this presentation, we are expected to focus on the relationship of different geographical keywords and to what extent these recent changes in U.S. immigration policy affect movement of illegal immigration from Cuba. So basically, it's the effects between two countries and the policy that they make. So first of all, what is political geography? So we're going to follow Froberg's definition of geography, which is basically, in other words, the relationship between human interaction and also cultural, geographical, and political interaction too. Which is why it says here, it concerns why political species emerge from places which they do, such as political, economic, and environmental understandings and practices. So in other words, it's this, economic, social, cultural, which means it focuses on norms and studies of people and their principles, and integral spaces created by humans, the relationship between political activity and geographical condition to its development. So it will relate political issues such as before that has relation to geographical context, like how location affects these issues. And by this, it analyzes its issue in a political perspective also, not just geographical perspective. And it's also development of the chosen issue in geographical and politically related solutions analysis. So in this issue, it also gives solutions not in political form, where it's not really more into the politics, but also in terms of its geography and effects to the individual surrounding. The history started in the 19th century. Why did it start in the 19th century? Because it was this transition form from the Renaissance into this new age of urbanization and new ways of thinking. And it was where lots of political developments started, social developments, which was easier for people to accept different concepts rather than those usual stereotypical concepts they learn from their religion. And Friedrich Ratzel created this contemporary political geography, which is very different from the classic geographies, such as those people from the 18th or 17th century, which he called the politische geography. It's in German. And the objects of human geography is basically economic, social, cultural activities and integral spaces created by humans. It's the human activities that affects these kind of aspects, and it's the relationship between political activity and geographical condition to its developments. The purpose is to help social developments, particularly because by solving issues in a too political way, it can also forget other geographical factors, because geography is where we find human behaviors, human interactions, and that is where we should focus on in solving an issue. Studies political activity with geographical spaces. So again, it's the U.S. and Cuban issue is mainly actually political activity, but with geographical spaces, it also focuses on why it started and how it also affects those two people, especially immigrants, which is the reason why they couldn't go anywhere, is because these political boundaries. Creates integral spaces, which means it's particularly socio-economic and natural conditions for political and other forms of human activity. It creates this boundary between humans and location. Political space, which means it's a form of political events, mutual location, coexistence and interactions. And also political activity, which is way of life and structure of population, which is basically of how different individuals do their routine in daily lives. How does it take part in the issue of illegal immigration? So again, immigration in definition is this, active movement from one's country due to one's political issues or one's oppression in the country, and they need to go through a process which they need to be permitted to be a resident over there. And without it, they will be considered as illegal residents, which betrays the political boundaries and rules set by the country, which then again causes political issues because of these geographical issues again. And since they are moving one place to another, it also involves political boundaries where because of these geographical boundaries and the laws and everything, it also creates political issues and physical one as well, which is why the true nature of political geography. So going back to the issue of why the illegal immigration from Cuba to America is from this wet foot, dry foot policy, which was created in 1995. It is the act of the Cuban citizens traveling to the United States by traveling from either land or boat. So from Cuba to the States is very close to Miami. So there was this issue where Cubans, they illegally traveled to the States by boats without any legal documentation, which became an issue because there was such a rapid and very wide amount of Cuban people traveling to the United States, which to a point that it was somehow uncontrollable, except from the Cuban side. And so wet foot, dry foot policy is that Cuban can, they can go via the ocean. No, people who migrate from the ocean will not be given United States residency because there are lots of issues when the Cubans traveled from the oceans. Like there's lots of criminals and very drugs issues and everything. So the dry foot was basically people who travel from land to land, such as plane, and these are only the people who were given legal citizenship. So people who travel by land will be given legal citizenship, while people who travel by sea without any legal documentation will not be given citizenship, which is made by the Clinton adjustments and Cuban government. Yes. So yes, this is one of the article by themigrationpolicy.org, made by the United States, of course. So this basically tells the condition between Cuba and the United States. I mentioned it a while ago. And this is the current issue. It summarizes everything in the article. It's the 10th country known for its immigration. So Cuba is known for the 10th country. Again, it's close to Miami. It's every year it increases its immigrants from the Cuba. And because why they originally didn't want Cubans to travel by boat is because this Bolívar incident, where the Cuban government opened its coastal border for deportation, which prompted the U.S. So the U.S. made these freedom flight, which was basically planes sent to Cuba, from Cuba to the States, created by the United States government, which chartered Cuban citizens. And in the 1980s, they made an agreement for U.S. residency to Cuban citizens that Cuban citizens can take residence in the U.S. for 1 year. So they don't know what will happen after that 1 year, so that's pretty much the issue. And then there was this eruption of boat migration in 1989, where there were so many issues, political issues, social issues in 1989 during the boat migration. This is the graph of the Cuban immigrant population in the U.S. from 1980 to 2013. So again, it gradually increases annually. So from 2013 to 1980. In 1980 it starts from 608,000 and 2013 is already 1,144,000 Cuban citizens. This is the interactive map of numbers of immigrants. Yes. So it's most populated Cubans are over here because it's close to Cuba. That's why. And the source is from the U.S. Census Bureau from 2013. Another concept is the territoriality, which is this close, intimate relationship or sense of property a nation or community has towards its territory and how it makes an effort to keep it defended. So it's this sense of protection of one's country for one to be protected. One example is the United States, how they're trying to keep immigrants away illegally from entering their country because one, it avoids any risk of danger coming from the United States, especially coming from foreign countries such as Cuba, which will create a larger range of political issues too. It's the effects of the different culture into the United States, which might be another problem because the United States is very protective to one's country. It highly respects their own culture and principles and routines. So by this Cuban immigration, it will enter to different cultures. Physical political boundary, it's division of countries that is not only about the geographical landscape, so it talks about this political boundary from each other, such as its limits and, basically its limit. So this illegal from the Cuba means they're trespassing and breaking physical political boundaries set by the country. So physical political boundary is basically such like a law that limits their presence into another's geographical boundaries. Critical geopolitics. It is the wet foot dry foot policy. It's the fear, again, is the United States' fear of danger coming in their country. So both sides from Cuba and the United States, they both agree that yes, the United States will have this fear of foreign people coming and influencing their own people in both positive and negative way.
What is your opinion about illegal immigrants?
My opinion about illegal immigrants is, I think they have the rights to want to have a better home for themselves and to enhance their living condition. But again, because of this political and geographical issue, I think that illegal migration should be taken care of deeply again, should be more focused. It should be more concerned, basically, and I think there should be more policies regarding about it. And although there are recent issues mainly in Europe about immigrants, I think it should be concerned from their country to this other country. And I think more like their legal documentation should be also taken care of. So it's a step-by-step process from both sides of the country. So, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.